Seriousness will absolutely ruin your manifestations. And trust me, I know. I had to learn the hard way. And this has to be one of the toughest spiritual lessons any of us will ever learn on the spiritual path is this, the cost of seriousness. Now I'm going to talk about this in an example because what's the better way to do it than to know from someone else's heartache, right? So I was living in another country at the time and I really wanted to stay. I did not want to go back home, but I was running out of money. I didn't have enough to sustain myself. Rent was coming up again soon. And, obviously, the monthly, amount of money that I would need, and from then and beyond, but I didn't have it. But I knew it was coming because I had been owed a bunch of money. And in fact, it was well overdue and it was thousands and thousands of dollars. So I was just gritting my teeth going, oh my God, this money has to come. It's got to come now. And even more so because I was involved with somebody there. So I really, really wanted to stay. So obviously this became terribly serious, became a life or death kind of thing to me. But the more I just begged the universe, the more I just got crickets. There was just nothing happening. And it wasn't until literally 4 days before my flight that I finally gave in. And I was like, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. So I booked my transportation, to and from the airport and took care of all those things. I went back home. And then 2 freaking days after I got back, I literally woke up with a ding in my head. It woke me up and it was 5:04 a.m. in the morning. I immediately turned on my phone. There it was. 2 minutes before, the notification had popped up on my phone saying, the money's been deposited in your account. And you know why that happened? And it happened then? Because it took me that long when I finally got back, and the first day, all this stuff, and then the second day, by then I was like, I let go. I let go to the obvious in my face that there was nothing I could do about it. And then magically it happened. And that's how this stuff works. It's our seriousness that is exactly what's keeping it away. This is what's making things so difficult when we're trying to manifest things for them to come. And we're like, I don't get it. Am I not doing it right? Am I just stupid? Am I incompetent? You start like kind of losing it sometimes because you're like, what am I doing? That's what we're doing. We're becoming way, way too serious. And I'm going to show you the way that this really works with another personal example that will show you how massively we're overcomplicating things. And that's with this. So this was a few years back, and I was with my partner at the time. We were driving around in the car, and he had an appointment to go see this other guy, like later in the afternoon, who wanted him to build this very special kind of bespoke fence for him. And he was kind of worrying about it and going, oh, I wonder if the guy's going to be all right, or how hard the job's going to be and all this stuff. And so he's going on. I'm just sitting there in the passenger seat, just listening to him as we're driving around. And I just started to just have a little daydream in my head. And I was like, wouldn't that be really cool if they just totally got along? If when he came back, he just burst through the door and he was like, guess what? The guy's great. We totally got along. And then I was like, I know it'd be cool if they were working together. Yeah, they got along so well that they realized they had all this stuff in common and they're going to start working together, I was just making it up off the top of my head. And then I was like, well, I'm originally from California. And I was like, wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool if he had some kind of Hollywood, California connection, And I was just, I don't know, maybe 2-3 minutes. I was just kind of daydreaming this in my head while we were driving around. And then I let it go. And we went and did our errands, and then he took me back to the house, and then he left to go see this guy. An hour later, he comes back and bursts through the door and says, guess what? I met this guy, and he's great. He told me that I'm just like his best friend. He's like, you so remind me of my best friend. And he's like, and you know what? He's like, this guy, he's a horticulturist. And he's like, and I do decking and waterfalls and fire pits and all of this stuff. And he's like, oh my God, all I do is plants. He's like, and people are constantly asking me if I know someone that does decking and waterfalls and fire pits and all this stuff. He's like, I work in these huge mansions. He's like, what do you think about us working together? Would you be interested in working with me? He's like, the guy wants me to work with him. And then he's like, and you know what was funny? He's like, this guy, he looked just like Brad Pitt. Boom! Right in the basket, baby. Every single thing that I had casually, without a single care, thought about came true. That he would come bursting through the door saying, guess what? That guy would be someone that they'd get along really well, that they'd start working together, and that he'd have some kind of Hollywood connection. Every single one of them, every single point got hit because I didn't care. It didn't matter. I didn't take it personally. It certainly wasn't serious or life or death. I was just daydreaming a little daydream. And within a couple of hours, every single bit of it came true. And I tried to tell him, I'm like, oh my God, I just imagined that for you. And he just kind of was like, did like a funny look at me, and then he kept talking, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to mention it again because he's never going to believe me, So, but that's exactly how it worked. And this is how easy things are supposed to be. Because we're here in life, and this is the problem as human beings. We take it all seriously, and it's not supposed to be serious. We have to remind ourselves of why we're here in the first place. We're here because God wants to experience being with God, being with another. Because when God is just God, there isn't any other. There's nothing that isn't God. So God has no perspective. There's no one to play with. There's no way to experience something other. There is no other. So that's why the illusion of separation, the illusion of another, so that there can be experience, there can be enjoyment, there can be fun, there can be growth, there can be strength, there can be all these, it's like all these movies where you got to overcome, and stuff. So that's the biggest, the hero's journey, So we got to stop taking things so seriously, especially our manifestations. And I know, trust me, how hard that is, especially when it's something, as serious as love in or a special person and stuff. But this is where we're going wrong. This is how we're messing things up, by taking it all of reality too seriously. So add a little play, add a little fun to your life, because people, they've certainly forgotten how to play, I'll tell you that, I think, for the most part, and that is so important to us being able to loosen up and have a good time, Be who you want to be, do what you want to do, and enjoy it. Create who you are, create your life, and have a good time, and you'll find out that life is going to have a good time with you, not the other way around. So thank you for being here with me. I am Sky Cheyenne, and this is Rebuild Reality, and I hope that perhaps you will join me on YouTube, where I do lots of videos there, longer videos, about all of this stuff more in depth. So join me there at Rebuild Reality. Otherwise, if you want to follow me here, I love it. If you want to comment, that's beautiful. I think it's fun. We can be together, because communities are awesome. I like that. And I like you guys being here with me. So I look forward to seeing you here next time on Rebuild Reality.